Good morning, comrades. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Nürburgring. I hope you all are having a wonderful day. Actually, I hope you're all having a wonderful 2 and almost half weeks of 2022 so far. Let me know how you guys are doing. I'm doing perfectly fine and well. And yeah, to make it even better, well, sarcastically said, I decided to make a video that is going to probably upset quite some people. So 2 days ago, I published a video where I was going on with my daily business, but I put an emphasis on the lack of charging space at the Nürburgring here where I'm living, and I received quite some negative feedback. Well, also lots of positive, but like the negative feedback from all the EV haters was quite noticeable, I would say, to an extent that like some guy even commented like, you make content about EVs, I'm gonna unsubscribe, and on top I wanted to rent the car from Apex this summer. Well, guess what, I'm not going to. Well, first of all, it's not an airport, you don't need to announce your departure. Second of all, that's like, I don't even want to comment on that, how ridiculous it is. And some of you are going to say, for a very good reason, I'm going to agree with you, hey, you don't need to give attention to haters, to trolls, and simply to people who are like the perfect iteration of Dunning-Kruger effect. Yes, I absolutely agree with that. But I would like to say a couple of things to emphasize on my position, and also say a couple of things that I haven't said before, to explain to you where I'm coming from and where I am, where it comes with this whole, like, my perspective on EVs, because I actually never said it like completely in detail. So let's start actually telling you my whole experience, where my journey with EV driving has started, because there were also lots of misconceptions there. People saying like, hey, ever since you started working at Rimac, you like EVs, and then crazy like that. So my very first experience with EV was actually driving a Nissan Leaf, and absolutely hated it, because probably I also got a fine for speeding, because the torque was so instant and great that I decided to try it out, and I couldn't also hear the speeds I was doing, and I got flashed. I'm like, well, that's great. The fine wasn't big, but it was just like, okay, but the range was like, bleh, and I hated it. Fast forward later, I was building time attack cars, or time attack car, not really building, mostly paying for it to be built, as you know me. And back at those times, like beginning of the 2010s, like the most hated car was of course the Prius. Everyone was hating it, and I was also hating on that. And also along that, smoothly, that hate transcended into hate of EVs, because of like they were kind of useless, and I would also think that people who are buying those are pretentious and trying to save the environment, and yeah. And yeah, it was just not my thing. But I was not like really actively hating on them, probably maybe on some, like, in any case. Fast forward later on in 2018, I got involved with a project for Audi. You all know it, the What's Up Audi show, started doing it in 2018, and one of the very first big things back then was the introduction of the very first Audi E-tron, where I actually got to experience the car in its prototype form in Namibia. And to be honest, I was completely blown away by it. The way that the car performed, the back then state of the art, and still nowadays like a pretty good technology when it comes to the modern electric motors and everything around it. Fast forward to 2019, I started working for Rimac Automobili, that you all know by now. A lot more people should know by now, ever since it's like news of the last 2 years of it taking over Bugatti, Porsche investing a lot of money into it, etc., etc., where I got to see, like, an experience like the technology of the coming decade. And that was like even further more blown away. In between, also a couple of other interesting things happened. For example, my experience with Polestar, which I'm driving right now. And long story short, I did appreciate and loved all these vehicles, all these cars. But although I appreciate technology, I completely disagree still that the main purpose, the main reason why we have this whole influx of EVs and you should go electric and this combustion engine car, I completely disagree that they are going to save the environment. I am a strong believer, and again, a lot of people are going to hate me for saying this, that, and I never talk about politics on my channel, pretty much never. I try to avoid that topic because it's even worse when it comes to giving your opinion on politics. It's even worse than giving your opinion on cars. I'm a strong believer that majority of politicians have absolutely no clue of what they're doing. They're appointed and they're like having a position of a scientific actual topic, like have it be either healthcare or traffic, but they don't care about cars. They have no medical background. There are like clear examples of it, but they think like, this might be a good thing. And the automotive environment is like the car is unfortunately a black sheep now to say like, you know what, you're the main polluter, and because you are actually causing exhaust gases, you're causing exhaust fumes, so you know what, we as politics, we're going to make the world better. We're going to shut down and like kill this bad boy car industrialist and make sure that the world is going to be a better place for our children. I'm not buying that shit as majority of you are. I am aware, and the current weak points of battery production, of like, actually, when you look at it, the electric car is definitely not the way to save the earth, and I'm never ever going to say that in this current stage. Maybe in a couple of years time it will like improve its process, but I will never be able to sell it to you as like, hey, go buy an electric car to save the world. Moreover, actually, I have never told you to go and drive electric in the first place, even though I have Polestar for a year. It's an amazing car, but the key component of my YouTube channel, of my whole journey as a YouTuber, and me using like this platform and Instagram as everything, the key number one, the most important thing is always honesty and transparency. And at the end of the day, I'm just sharing my thoughts and like my views on these things and my experiences with these products. So for example, when I had the Polestar 2 for the first time, I was giving it shit for like the pretensioner of the seatbelt. I was saying it is actually an amazingly performing car, but unfortunately it's you cannot do a full lap of a Nürburgring because the power is dropping down. What did Polestar do in return? They actually released a software update where you actually can do a full lap now, where the seatbelt is actually not doing stupid things. They took that critique and said like, you know, this is actually great, thank you for helping us to improve the product, here's a car for a year. In return, what did I do? Okay, cool, I have a car for a year, I'm just gonna drive it and document my experiences, good and bad. And not going to tell you like, hey guys, if you want to have a test drive for the Polestar, I'm gonna set you up like in some separate leasing deals. I don't even know if they do that. I know that Robert eventually even bought a car. It should arrive soon for him, the Polestar 2. At the end of the day, everyone needs to make their own decision, and hopefully I can help you to sharing my experiences, good and bad. And one of the bad experiences is also sharing the range of the current electric cars, or the possibility of charging. And trust me, I'm also extremely frustrated when I have to drive to my mom who lives in the Netherlands, I live in Germany, and I have to charge like twice a day, and I'm wasting at least an hour time, maybe more depending on how much state of charge I want to get. It's a time waste, and also planning the trip, and especially remembering when 2 years ago I had a Mark IV Golf DDI, and I could do a whole trip from Croatia, from Zagreb to Nürburgring on one single charge. Like, charge. He's converting to EV on one single tank of fuel, yes. It was definitely frustrating. But, here comes the big but. However, again, I do believe that electric technology, the EVs, and mostly electric motors, putting the obsolete battery tech aside, I do believe that it is superior to internal combustion engine cars. I do believe it is the future when it comes to the possibilities that you can do with it. But again, at the same time, you should, and this is why I also embrace the tech, because I do believe that the driving dynamics of an EV, are better than internal combustion engine car because of the instant torque and the lower central point of gravity. The emotion is definitely not there, because yes, I do appreciate the screaming V10, V12, V16, and whatever more than anything else. But I do believe that the both technologies can exist at the same place at the same time. You should have EVs to actually go from small places from A to B, and therefore have the conveniences when you have the actual, like when the charging network is there. And the internal combustion engine car should be able to still survive. And this is why I also firmly believe that none of the car manufacturers actually would want to make EVs in the first place, because they would love to milk the cow of the TDI engine, they would love to milk the cow of the internal combustion engine car. They would not all of a sudden, like, you know what, let's spend tens of billions of whatever currency, euros, dollars, to make this world a better place. Yes, do you believe it? No, because they are forced to, they now have to, and they also have to market, of course, the product, and the only way you can actually sell the product is by saying that you believe in it. Well, yeah, but at the same time, they also invest in biofuels and everything. And some of you might ask, so what do you actually think about hydrogen? Because that's actually the future technology. That's probably the actual technology that's going to save the world. You know what I'm going to say? I don't know. I don't know, because I do not have enough information to form an opinion on this topic. Simply as that. That's it. That's something you can say as well. I don't know anything about it. And yes, it could be great, could be bad, probably not, but I just don't know, and I cannot comment on that. But you're a car guy. Yes, I also like history, and I know that Queen of England has inherited one of the biggest stamp collections from King George V, because I like history, but I don't care about stamps, so I don't know what's inside that stamp collection. You see the analogy? Just for the same reason that I like to enjoy a glass of whiskey sour on a Saturday night doesn't mean I'm an alcoholic. And the same way, because I'm driving an EV, that I'm a hater of internal combustion engine car. I know, again, going back to the beginning of this video, majority of you don't need to like the explanation of this whole situation, but yeah, some people do need it pointing it out, and some people it doesn't matter, because they will have their opinion forever, and well, it is what it is. By the way, if you have followed this whole journey from Apex to here, this is a car wash, as you can see, the only car wash we have here at the Nürburgring. And yes, I'm going to put the Polestar through a scratchy car wash. Probably this video is going to upset Polestar, because I'm going through a car wash. Then again, it should be able to go survive in a real world environment, and a car wash is one of them. So you need to treat it like an everyday car. It should be able to withstand a couple of scratches. Great. I see that the main camera facing the road has not recorded, so you have no clue where the car wash is, and you were probably only like watching me, and yeah, that's the difficult GoPro situation. As you can see here, the timer is stuck on the whatever, so when I press it record, it's just like, it doesn't stop. It's like, yeah, no, you know, I will continue recording forever because I'm jammed. Typical GoPro things. Right, I want to clear up a couple of things. As mentioned, I know that it's not necessary, but I hope you understand my position, that like with everything, so just a conclusion, with everything, things are not black and white. There's always like the truth is somewhere in the middle. I'm doing things because I'm like doing them, and I drive these cars because I enjoy driving them. But at the end of the day, everyone needs to decide for themselves what is best for them. You should buy an EV if it is financially or fiscally, or like for tax reasons it makes sense for you, or whatever, or because you're being forced to, because by your employer, because you need to have a green image. And this is why, at the end of the day, I would believe and say, like, you know what, you should consider Polestar 2, because for me, it is the best car, because it has, for me, as a guy who likes performance, it has everything, and it has also the build quality and everything. But I will only say it to you if you're going to ask for my opinion, not unsolicited opinion. Okay. yeah, that's all I wanted to say. As mentioned, it might upset you, it might not, but I hope you will see between the lines, and actually we can have an educated or like intellectual discussion in the comment section, as we have with most of the people. So thank you very much. I forgot to say one important thing. I will probably finish with this fragment. Hopefully I can find it. Again, since I mentioned Rimac and my experience with it, a great example is again Mate Rimac, who is like a pioneer. He's a visionary of making like the future EV technology, but at the same time he has a very impressive car collection of E30, M3, Evo 3 that I actually have a nice picture of me squatting with. But he also has always said that he does not want to save the world. He's not thinking himself as a tree hugger and stuff, but he thinks the technology is exciting. And now even with taking over Bugatti, he said that Bugatti will still have the internal combustion engine. So, having said that, enjoy the fragment if I find it, and if not, hope to see you tomorrow in one of the upcoming videos. Bye!
How do you make an EV supercar feel like a supercar that will appeal to the people that are used to having a V12 engine? How do you give it character?
It's designed by somebody who loves cars. Myself and the team, we are all petrol heads. We like cars. I mean, the environment is important to us, but we are not tree huggers that want to kill cars. I started a company because I felt there is opportunities to make the car better by being electric. So not just being electric for the sake of being electric, but actually because you can do things that are not possible with the traditional powertrain. Yeah. So I want this car to be able to power slide like crazy and to have fun, and you know, that you still have the feeling through the steering wheel, through the pedals. That's super important to us, and we want to make it the proper driver's car. You know, it's 1,900 horsepower, almost 2,000 horsepower, and less than 2 seconds, 0 to 60 and all of that stuff. Yeah, that's nice, but we still want it to feel really like a proper car that you can really enjoy and have fun with on the track.